Just make your job easy.
The travelling Eagles snatch a thriller away from the Hawks at the MCG. That'll make it 5 straight wins at the home of football, and their 10-4 record, plus some fortunate results around the league, have them sitting equal second with 2 months remaining in the home and away season. Welcome to this week's instalment of Eagle Review, proudly sponsored by Kennards Hire, with over 170 stores.
170?
That's a truckload nationwide and across New Zealand. Visit a local one or go online, kennards.com.au. Ben Roberts, hello. You were ground level at the MCG.
Technically, I was on level 4 in the media centre, but I was at the ground, yes.
Technicalities. Where do you rate this victory in the context of others in the 2019 season, mate?
Crucial. Top 4 race is tightening up and still haven't, technically qualified for finals yet, although they're in a very good position. Sitting in third after round 15. Needed to win that one. Didn't need to win that one, but it was, geez, it helps when you bank the ones that you can. And it was in doubt there for a little while because Hawthorn had control, it must be said, for large parts. We had control early, but the Hawthorn guys really came back. A different type of game to normal, lots of stoppages. The wet conditions obviously filled that. Hawthorn, actually only 16th in contested possession, won that count by 7 at the weekend.
Yeah, they brought their A game in that area.
Really came to play at the contest. Eagles needed every bit of their 50%, which is third in the AFL. Accuracy at goal, 11-11, bang on the mark today. That's 5 in a row at the G, so another good sign there. Lots of stoppages, as I said, and we'll talk a bit later about one of the big dudes that fed off that, no doubt.
Got to be happy. The second quarter from the West Coast Eagles was dominant, 3 goals to nada, and that helped. 65% efficiency, and in the wet, that is sensational. Extremely helpful having the big man, Segler, miss a couple up forward. Bit of a let-off for the Eagles in that term.
So they had a chance to, it's often in those situations where you've got all the momentum and the other team can just pinch a couple of against the run of play. It almost cancels out what your good work.
Dead right.
Probably thought they should have been a little bit further ahead. Not huge amount in the conditions, of course, but at half-time, but 20 points would take that. But then the third, someone tossed the coin. They changed jumpers and came out, and Hawthorn just turned it on. Absolutely 22 minutes without inside 50 for the Eagles. That's a domination from Hawthorn, and they probably could have got further ahead themselves, but got themselves back into it. Obviously, they're making up that margin. The Eagles, a goal from Shuey, very much clutch, which we'll touch on again later also. But time of possession, led the possession count, doubled the inside 50s, 4 goals, 7. So if they kick straighter as well, could have been a much more different story, a much harder mountain to climb. But Simo came down at 3/4 time and spent a fair bit of time with the midfield guys.
A few rockets there, you reckon?
Well, he just came and spoke to them. He spent a lot of time with the midfield unit, that's all I'll say, and they, in that 4th term, turned that around.
Gee, of all the games for Gov to miss, handy it's one where it's just bucketing down and not great for the intercept markers. But if you're ever going to have a like-for-like replacement in terms of big names, Nic Nat returning, great to see.
It was, and straight back into it, first bounce of the game, slipped over, humour. Everyone's heart was in their mouth for a brief moment, but geez, he started well. Like he looked really keen to get involved straight away, and when he wants to do that, he can. As Simo said, there's Nick intensity, which no one else can go with. Had a shot for a goal of the year 3 seconds into the game. 6 possessions for the day, but 41 hit-outs, 13 of those to advantage.
That's a massive amount, 13 to advantage.
It is, yeah, and only playing about just over 58%. Him and Hickey shared the load there, and Hickey was good as well. So his 57 minutes, and it tested them at late, having to manage Nick's time with Hutchings going down with that hamstring. It made rotations a little bit more difficult. Challenge for our sports science guys, so hats off to them. But they got there in the end.
You can just see exactly why the coaching crew wanted to send Hutchings to Impey. Almost turned the game, Jarman, in that 4th quarter, was marking everything within their intercept possessions. Let's talk about centre clearances and Nick's return, as you touched on. 6-1 in the final quarter, and Natanui in the mids, a massive part of that.
Yeah, that's right. As I said, Simo spoke to them at 3/4 time, and I don't know what was said, but I'm sure it was, I reckon you guys can maybe lift and help get us over the line here, and geez, they did, and Nick drove that 6-1 clearance style in the 4th term, and Shuey was a big part of that, because you can't talk about that last quarter, Stephen, at the weekend without talking about El Shuey, number 13. Can I just run through some numbers
Please.
For you? 39 touches on the day, 20 of those contested. 15 were in the last quarter, 11 clearances, 6 of those were in the last quarter, 11 inside 50s, 9 tackles. The goal I mentioned against the Tide in the 3rd term, I reckon it's pretty safe to say he's got 3 votes in his pocket.
He stood up well, especially with Yeo getting that close Howe tag, even though Yeo continued his tackling dominance. Good to see. Liam Ryan's game thought was exceptional. His two efforts here, the deft pass to Cripps on the outside of the boot in the second quarter. Someone tell him it's wet conditions. He didn't mind. And the goal on the run, that was just beautifully executed. And the Willie handball setting it up in style.
It looked like our Smalls played the conditions really well, because often you're told to get front and centre, but in the wet, often it spills out the back through the hands or slips past the fingers and goes back. And our guys ran onto it a lot, and it led to a few goals. And one of those was that Willie one to Liam. And it's really exciting to watch the forward line with those young guys running around, so hopefully they can continue that this week.
I enjoyed the one passage where the 3 Indigenous boys linked up, the cohesion. They've only played, what, a couple of games together with Cameron. Imagine 100 games experience. Oh, it's exciting
100
to see.
would be nice. What about Jack Darling in the wet, kicking 5 big ones, 3 in the first to get us off to a good start, and then 2 in the last, clutch goals when it mattered. He wasn't just in the last quarter with kicking goals. The second last goal, composure in the wet, probably was a free kick, I would have thought. And contested in the final play, going back, crashing the pack, allowing Jamie Cripps to kick the goal. It was that's an example of the things you can do when you're not necessarily going to mark it, but you're going to kill it and allow your guys to get it. And he was crucial in the victory. Youngster
Oscar Allen asked to go and play back with no McGovern and no Barris in the side. The 20-year-old hasn't played there much all year, let me tell you, but this mark, sensational, and the courage, just the timing of it all, and especially in the context of the game. This set up Darling's 4th goal and was quite an important one in the scheme of the victory.
One of the best marks of the year, full stop. It was hugely courageous, and he was key in the last quarter. He did that. He also kicked the ball in long that set up Cripper's goal to the winner. So he was very good. And isn't it great to look at him in terms of the future, because we've got, Simo said, reeks of leadership. Does what the team wants. It makes the right decisions at the right time. He can play forward, he can play back. He's played in the middle as a midfielder when he was younger as well, so he can do it all, Oscar, and big future, absolutely. A couple of other guys I wouldn't mind touching on, a couple of half backers. It was down there a little bit. Jetta and Shepherd I thought were pretty good, and ball use coming off from those guys. How about Shep's torpedo, Malcolm Blight style? That was 60, 70 metres, it was huge.
Sizable. Yeah, well done, boys. Great collective team effort. Now it's time to get into a few roasts. Thanks to Kennards Hire. We'll start with Nic Nat. What a return. Great to see him out there. First possession, though. Tries goal of the year. I just got to him the moment, I think, the big fella. What about this? I don't like this, Benny. The one fan sitting alone, solitary in the crowd, as it's absolutely bucketing down. Wouldn't mind seeing one fan get alongside him and say, I'm with you, big fella.
I want to know how he chose that seat in particular. If you're going to get wet, why not sit a little bit closer? That's the only weird thing came to me. This 50-metre penalty was crucial for West Coast. Isaac Smith, don't know what was being thought through here, but that's just silly. You don't like those sort of things, don't come Monday. Gaffey thought he had the toe to get away from this bloke, didn't, and then panicked and handballed to no one.
No push in the backcourt here for Ryan. Okay, all good, moving on. Impey loves this one. Gives the ball back to the crowd member for the boundary throw-in. Don't know what he's going to do. Don't know if the crowd member's piffing it in the forward 50.
What about JK? Goals, very hard to come by. A close game, hitting the goalpost from the goal square. That's not JK-like. He'll like to have that one again. Kennedy, more time in the FIFA room, I think, required here from Liam Ryan. Just not in sync completely. The cross comes in from David Beckham. Sorry, Liam Ryan. JK not quite onto it and doesn't quite get it through the back into the net. Next time potentially, but a week of FIFA stuff I would think this week.
Got every bit of that, Ryan. Blitzed it off the turf. Oscar Allen, admiring him for his courage here. Going back into the goalpost, that's always a bit of a roast as well. Let's go around the grounds. It's time to go to the Collingwood game. Sorry, is that Treloar going through Cox's legs tunnel ball style over there?
Takes me back to my primary school days.
Oh, genuine humour. Don't know if all the crowd spotted that in the venue, especially if you're wearing sunnies to a Marvel Stadium game. You're definitely not going to get a view of it.
Soon to be a thing of the past. What about this one? Joel from Richmond taking this, the easiest goal he'll ever kick. Got to send a ruckman to the ruck contest, I would have thought.
Would have thought there, big fella. What about Dow? Love this one. The play on. Oh, no, I wouldn't mind taking it back. Oh, gone, holding the ball. Freo going down the other end and goaling. Mattered very little in the end, though, Benny.
Could have been very costly. But the winner, we're going to have to give this one to the AFL for tweeting. Josh Kelly had the shot to win the game. If you just check the scores here, I'm pretty sure goals are worth 6, 71 to 77. 6 would make it a draw.
Tough math there, Benny. Tough math.
Easy to overlook the maths, but lift.